Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the El Nino podcast. I'm Eladio Nino, and this is Real Everyday People. So I want to thank everybody who's been sharing, subscribing, everybody that's tuning in to today. I definitely appreciate you. And, I hope everybody had a good, safe weekend. I know we're supposed to have some snow coming, and everybody kind of bummed out about it because everybody pulled out the shorts, the tank tops, the t-shirts. Everybody ready to get live, flip-flops, all kinds of shit slapping, and then they talk about snow. Only in Michigan, baby. You'll see 4 seasons in the same day. Rain, hail, sleet, snow, and all that good stuff. But we Michiganders, man, we keep moving forward no matter what. So thanks everybody for tuning in again. And we got a special guest today, man. Good young brother, man, that I've been building with for the past couple of months. He got a good story, and I wanted him to be able to share his story with you, so that somebody can learn something and somebody can be inspired by his story. And I always believed in the each one teach one theory. So without no further ado, I got Robert Ayala here, man.
How you doing, man?
What's happening?
Thanks for having me on, brother. Really appreciate
yeah, no
it.
doubt. I really appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah, I love the setup you got here, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. This is all new, man. Thanks to the DHDC. I got my banner up. Stay tuned. What is it? May 14th for Jose Rivera's fashion show. We're gonna be ready for that, man.
Awesome. Oh yeah, that's what's up, man.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man. Tell them where you from, where you grew up.
All right. Yeah. So I'm from the area. I'm from Ecorse myself. Born and raised here. Bounced around a lot between basically right down the corner. I was on 7th Street for a good chunk of my life. Moved over to Rouge. We were up high for quite a few years there. Up and down Jefferson, man. My mom, God, love her to death. I wish she could be here to see me. Her name's Teresa. Shout out to her. My dad, Michael, same as with him.
Tell us a little bit about your mom, because last time I haven't seen your mom in a very long time.
It's been years, man.
And the last time I had seen her, she was dealing in real estate.
Yep.
She was doing income tax. She was doing all kinds of stuff,
Yep.
man.
Yeah, so she's retired now. Thank goodness. Yep, she retired. She's been retired for about 8 or 9 years now, man.
Wow.
Yep, she got out the game. She started her own business, sold it, and she's been kind of just chilling with my sister for a minute. But she's from California. Her mom's also from California. She came over here when she was, probably 17, 18 years old.
What part of California?
Santa Clara, I believe.
Clara, okay.
Yep. So, yeah, she was born and raised over there for quite a few years. Now, my mom's got an interesting story. We had to have her around here too, man. Even better story than me. She was in the foster care for quite some time.
Wow.
Her and her brother Gerard and my aunt Antoinette. And when she was old enough, she actually ended up getting custody of her brother and her sister. And then from there, they ended up coming over to Michigan, where they kind of started just living their life. My grandma Josie, her mom, kind of made their way back in their lives. And she met my dad on the same block again, right down the street, man. I think it was 7th Street. Honestly,
yeah,
right down
I
the street.
remember that house up there. They had the upstairs apartment,
yes,
then
sir.
they had the downstairs where you guys live, and then they had the basement apartment. I remember.
Yeah, so
that was a family affair. Gerard, everybody.
They got the whole family. So, and I'll get to that a little later. That whole story gets way wild after a while, man. But then as far as my dad, I was very blessed to come up with 2 different sides of my family. So on my dad's side, I've got an aunt and an uncle over there, and on that side of my family, they were much more like go to school, get a job, go to college, all this other stuff, and try to set up this retirement, that like American dream kind of stuff. And then my mom's side is very much the opposite. Hustle, always trying to, just make it through, right? So I was very blessed to be able to see both sides of that coin. And
so your mom being at the point where she's pretty much retired. She's retired now.
Yeah.
So she must have done well within her career to be able to kick back and be in cruise control and be cool.
Yeah, 50-50, you know what I mean? Because like we're that's what I love about life. Like we're all humans, so we all have the mistakes we made, and we all live with those mistakes. But at the same time, we learn from those mistakes, which makes it not so much a mistake, but more of a lesson, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I really feel strongly about that because I think anything in life, no matter what, it either makes you or breaks you. And on that point, if you look at it from that perspective, it's very simple because then when you reflect on that later on, you just have to understand which one was it. Did it hurt me? Did it shape me in a negative way? Or did I let it build off who I am? And, getting back to, again, growing up, we had it rough. I definitely remember spending, waiting in the welfare line with my mom. We were on that for quite some time, always on some kind of bridge or support. until
bridge cards save your life, don't they?
oh yeah, oh yes sir, oh yes sir. Even
Yeah.
shit, when I was in my early 20s, man, I had a bridge card, and it pays off, man. It pays off.
Man. I grew up on like Focus, Hope, Wick. Had the
Oh, the Wick card?
Kaboom cereals.
Yep.
We used to go to over there on Livernois and Verner back in the days, and they had a Focus Hope. We had the cart, we had the blocks of cheese, the can of beef.
Nothing better than some
everything
garbage
just
cheese,
had
man.
a picture. It's either a cow, a chicken, or a pig.
That's
or
what it
something.
was. That's what
and
it
that's
was.
what you knew what it was. You
Yes,
know?
sir. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll never forget you walking by like the Cocoa Puffs, and then you got to just the generic bag of
The
like
Mickey
cow
Mouse,
cocoa or something like that.
As soon as you put milk on it, it gets soggy and everything.
It just disappears. Yeah, man.
I remember I used to be in the car and shit, waiting for our turn to go into Focus Hope. My mom be talking shit because people be pulling up with minks on and Cadillacs, and she's like, "Look at these motherfuckers, rich as hell, talking about they need some shit."
Absolutely. That's the craziest part about that, and that comes down to that was actually something that I actually used to see on my mom's side a lot.
Okay.
And the one thing I never wanted was to be. I'm a person who likes to make my way. That's what I saw in my family, and that's the way I feel that that's what most people need to understand. Like, you can have a lot against you, but at the end of the day, those things, your will to push on can outweigh those obstacles. And I really feel strongly about that. Now, there are some things that we can't really help, but I still feel that we have to have that positive outlook on that situation. So that being said, I knew that's not something that I wanted to do, but I also know that, hey, for some people, look, the game's tough out there, man. That struggle is real. So I don't. Hey, to each their own, man. That's how I feel about it.
And it's not to take anything away from anybody or their struggle,
right?
But prior to me getting out of prison, like I used to see guys going in and out, getting out, coming back, getting out.
That's got to be crazy to see,
and
right?
They're always like, "Bro, it's so hard out there. Like life is difficult. Like you know what I'm saying?" And I'm like, man, I just, I don't remember life being that hard. I remember life is what you make it. If you want something, you go out there and get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but it was almost a little bit intimidating because I hadn't been out in almost 2 decades. So when these guys are telling me, man, it's hard, it's rough, it's this, that, bro, I came out here and I've been marching to the beat of my own drum since I got home. I haven't broken my stride for anything. And I've been thriving the whole time that I've been home, just doing good, being progressive, building relationships, breaking down barriers, building bridges in any and every way. And I'm just like, I know everybody's situation is different, bro.
Right.
But I came out here with nothing but my word, with my ambition, my motivation, my knowledge of self, my knowledge of life, and came out here, bro, and just been prospering, bro, in every way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and sharing
absolutely.
the wealth of love, of knowledge, of education, of experience, sharing it with the people who are closest to me. Like
Right.
I said, how many times we've been over there just building, kicking it,
Absolutely,
working
man.
the body, working the mind, all that.
Hey,
good
look,
shit.
I know this is like out there, but like, don't be, I spend way too much time talking to this man at my job, but I don't mind it though, man. I don't mind. You already know it, like you said, and that's the beauty again of like building these relationships and understanding that even simple conversations can change someone else's life. Something that may not seem like a big deal to you. You may say something in a conversation to somebody who might just be in the wrong space at that wrong time. And those words might change their whole perspective on a situation. And you can very well change your lives with that kind of stuff. And that's the part where, as what I do now, I'm a communicator professionally, I guess is the way I'll say it. And part of that really helps me get through certain situations in my own life when it comes to talking about, like, my own affairs and talking to, like people in my life who I don't have the best relationships with, trying to reconnect with them and get back to that point where I can be on, like, solid ground. That's something that's, like, again, just learning the communication skill alone has really helped me with.
I tell people all the time, like, you're a book. You're a book made of many chapters, and nobody can tell your story better than you can, bro.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And for me, what makes it so easy for me is that I don't have anything to hide.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of anything. I'm not embarrassed of anything. Like, everything that I've been through, bro, my life is an open book.
Absolutely.
And I realized that everything I went through contributed to something that I was supposed to do or am doing now or in the future.
Yep. Yep.
So it makes it easy for me to be able to share myself and share my life with everybody because I don't have anything to hide. I'm fearless, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
And I made peace with everything. Before I got home, I made peace with the whole universe.
And I think the crazy part about that is so many people out there had this idea of trying to be something that they're not, right? And a lot of that I came to terms with in my early 20s when I realized that ego is probably most of everybody's issue when it comes to trying to navigate these situations like that. And what I mean by that is, again, the truth shall set you free has never been more true. if you have nothing to hide and you're just as open as you can be, then you can't be attacked from anywhere that you're not that's unsuspecting.
Absolutely.
No one can say things about you that aren't true, because when you wear that on your sleeve, then everybody else knows that. So I've always had this thing. I've been managing people for quite a few years now, and you know, I always tell people, I tell my employees, part of the relationship I have with them is the fact that if someone were to come up to me and complain and say, this employee said this and that to me, because I know who they are, I know that that's not the case. I can decipher it right off the bat, like if this person said that to you or not, right? And it's, again, through that transparency of someone just being who they are, you can make those determinations, right? Because if I didn't know this person, I couldn't determine whether or not that's something that they would have said. You know what I mean? But you build these relationships where, again, just being transparent with everything, there's really nothing. There's nothing to lose. You know what I mean? You can only gain from that situation.
But the thing about it is, there's so many people out there who cannot get past that barrier, that obstacle. They have not learned to forgive themselves for some of the things they've done in the past. You know, some of them are ashamed because of the things that they've been through in the past. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are ashamed because of the things they had to do to get to where they're at today. You know what I mean? So I just feel like a big part of being able to heal is to be able to dust the dirt. You know what I'm saying? And let everything out of the closet. But you have to be able to face it first before you can introduce anything to the rest of the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, like bringing that up right there, it's you know, growing up, you know, me, it was always my dad was always there, but he wasn't there. You know, and that was a big thing for me that I still, you know, deal with to this day. And that's something that, like you said, you know, like I said earlier, it makes you or breaks you. So at this point, I'm still learning to navigate around that right now. But it's been better than what it was. And part of that is me, myself, allowing the forgiveness in. Because you know what? What always gets me is that you watch these things where like, it's on TV and you're not sure, like these situations you think can never be real, right? And then you realize that sometimes, like, hey, me and my dad didn't talk for years, right? Very, very little. I mean, once every 6 months maybe.
Wow.
And then I just told myself, like, hey, the man lives 5 minutes from me, right? And then I won't even go out of my way to say hello to him, because I just had all this this hate for him on the inside, you know. But it took me forgiving.
Was it hate? Was it resentment?
It was a little bit of everything.
Hate is strong, you know.
It was a little bit of everything. Yeah, but
absolutely.
it definitely, there was some hate in there, man. Like, I can't even deny that, right?
Yeah.
Now
That's
I can
real,
tell you,
though. That's real.
Well, hate's a strong word. Like you said, it's got a lot of emotion behind it. It's got a lot of meaning behind it, right? So when you say it, like I do feel, you better mean it, right? Because
absolutely.
it's like a lot of things in life. Like, you start taking things for granted, even if it's just a word, right? They become, the power leaves it, you know? And anyways, yeah, so, you know, growing up, it wasn't again, I came from two parts of it. I came from one side of my family that struggled, and I saw the struggle. But then I also came from another side of the family where, you know, my grandparents had their shit together. They had a house. Like, they moved to Allen Park when I was very young. So that started to show me that there was more to life than what my environment was showing me. And that's what really started to make my mind think. Then my uncle, I mean, I love my uncle to death. He's actually one of the biggest inspirations I've ever had.
On your father's side?
On my father's side, yeah. Because he went and he did exactly what he wanted to do. And he struggled for years. But I will tell you, he's the most successful person in our family by far.
Wow.
By far, yeah, he's a multi-millionaire at this point. The guy makes a lot of money. He loves what he does. It's a great family. You know, and I'm sure he's got his own regrets, but for the most part, you know what I mean? He seems pretty happy.
So this is the thing about success. Everybody has a different interpretation of what success is.
Agreed.
And most people will feel like the more money I have, the more successful I become. So, you know, I these are classes that I took while I was in prison, and it teaches you how to do a lot of inventory. It teaches you how to be able to identify your thoughts, your feelings, identifying what is a man, what is the difference between being a man and being a male. You know, how a lot of men think that the more women I sleep with, the more money I make, the more people I beat up, that makes me more of a man. That makes me more macho, like, and it's a reproduction of what men teach their boys, you know, young boys to be. But it's about the moral system, the values, the principles, the integrity, the mannerisms, you know, being a man of your word, you know, being compassionate, being patient, having strength. You know, those are the things that form a man and make a man worthwhile. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
So I just, there's so many people like you were talking about, just living an image, creating an image. I used to tell my brother, even when I was in prison, because you never really get to see everything until you're taken out of the element.
Yep.
And then I realized that, man, everybody I'm hanging around with, everybody's wearing costumes. Everybody dresses themselves up with hats and clothes and jewelry, and everybody plays parts and plays roles, and they talk. Sometimes people dumb themselves down. Sometimes people pick themselves, level themselves up.
Yep.
You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? But everybody's playing a part. Everybody's playing a role, and everybody is not what they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or what they seem to be. The
Right.
image that they're portraying for people.
So, a big thing when I was in my early 20s, again, I got into philosophy, which is what really made me take a big turn in my own lifestyle, right?
Mhm.
That, meditation, and, the analogy I use today is a square is a square until you look at it from the side, and then it's a cube. And life's about perspective, man. With all the information that's out there, all the social media, like I said, all these things, people are trying to be, look at me, I'm 18 years old, I'm a millionaire. Look at my Ferrari, taking all these things. When most people know that's not real. But unfortunately, at this point, I don't know if that is the case. I think it's probably 50-50. 50% of people think that's obtainable just through, hey, give me, like I should deserve that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they try to fake it, and the other people are faking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, it's like to have this perspective of, again, when you see a picture online, a picture is what? It's 2D. It's one side of it, right? You can't see around. You just look right at the flat image. And that's like all life. But when you start seeing those different angles, what's going on behind the scenes? What really is this? What's the interpretation that this person's trying to show me versus what's really going on in this picture, right? And that's the big thing. Like, that's, like you said, whatever you want to call them, like posers, fakers, whatever it may be. I think all those, everyone who's like that, it's just like, once you realize that's not you, like, I was like 23. I'll never forget. I had my first, what I say, conscious thought. Like, people like to call it woke, right? It's whatever you want to call it. But for me, it was, I started to meditate, and I realized that all these opinions that I was having was someone else's voice that I was just saying was my own. And I never had my own actual opinion. So it was at that moment when I started to realize, okay, to have the self-awareness of checking myself and saying, hold up, let me make sure this information is something that I actually agree with. Let me make sure that this is me, not someone else's information, and I'm not trying to live through somebody else or vice versa.
Yes, absolutely, man. I know some people who were very, very intelligent, read multiple books, and then when you have conversations with them, everything, their thoughts, their opinions, everything, all of their knowledge comes from somebody else's quote, somebody else's book. And it's like, how can I connect with you if you're not telling me, you're sharing your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own opinions about something? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the thing about all the other, like, I love it. I love, I be swagged out, you know what I'm saying? I love my culture.
I see you in the gym.
Yeah, everywhere I go, I don't care if I'm working, I'm going to look sweet, I'm going to look clean.
Right.
That's just who I am, you know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is how people glorify it and the value that they give to these things.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? To me, like I said, I always ask God for more, because the more I have, the more I have to give.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
My blessings become the blessings of those who are around me.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's actually a great way that's shown. It's the way you say it is, you can't pour from a pitcher that's half empty.
Ooh, that's the second time I heard that today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in a staff meeting today for work, and one of the girls in there said that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
And I was
it's real. It's the realest it goes. At the end of the day, if I put 3 cups here and I have a pitcher and I pour all 3 out for you and the other people around us, what's going to happen? I'm going to have this much left for myself. Now, you all have full glasses, right? So now when it comes next time around to help you guys out again, I got nothing to give.
That's a story of my life,
Yep.
bro.
So what you do is you put yourself on top of that, right? And you put yourself as a glass, not as the pitcher. And you fill yourself up. What happens is you become so full, you start to overflow with success, with fulfillment, with love, with all these things, with positive energy. And that's what trickles down into other people. And that's how you help everybody out, including yourself. Because if you put yourself last, I mean, I meet people on a daily basis that, I work with a lot of like middle-aged moms and stuff. And you always hear the story, I need me time. Like, this time is for me. And I say, just because you have these things going on in your life, you have to remember you're an individual. And if you forget that, then you forget who you are. And that's the worst thing you can ever do.
And it's crazy because I feel like taking care of myself is the only, because I'm a source of power, just like you're a source of power. You're a source of information, you're a source of advice, you're a source of comfort. You know what I'm saying? So people are drawing power from you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's the same with me. But I feel like I take care of myself because I know if I don't, I'm not going to be able to do anything for anybody else.
Absolutely.
And this is how I live my life. I live my life according to the needs of people. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And some people look at like, man, you got to stop living that way and this, that, and the other. And I understand because for so much of my life, bro, I always ended up with the short end of the stick, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it was to the point where I resented myself, bro. I hated my own heart, you know,
Absolutely.
because I hated feeling like,
You feel like you're the
shit,
loser,
man.
innit?
Like, that, yeah, I feel like I'm the loser. Like, I'm
Yep.
willing to give anything and everything that I have to love, to aid, to assist, to help. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But you know, I just, you know, I accept my blessings as they come. I turn to the Creator, bro, and I tell you what, bro, I don't need for anything. I'm not where I want to be financially. People look at me, they see a chain and nice clothes, and they think you're paid. I'm not paid, bro. I get a check, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like everybody else, exactly.
I do my little projects, you know, get me a little tools and fuse, but it's just the way that I live my life.
Yep.
I wake up every day and I feel like a king. I feel rich.
Mhm.
I eat well. I sleep well. I love well. I
Yep.
live well. You know what I mean?
And you know the thing I would say to anybody who, as you said, like, hey, you can't live your life like that. The thing is that, and this is something else, you know, when you do what you love, it's not like you're even working, right? It becomes a different thing, right? The money just comes. So when we tell people, hey, you need to put yourself first, right? Then they hear us talk and they say, well, you guys don't. That's not what you're sounding like.
Mhm.
What they don't understand is this is what we love to do. This is part of the passion of it all. So because of that, I am putting myself first. I promise you that. That's why you're speaking to me today. That's why we're speaking to each other, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we're at where we're at. Why we do what we do. Because of that reason right there. We're already living our best lives as much as we can. And like you said, you take the ups with the downs and just understand that at the end of it, look, we are all human, man. That's why I would say there's no race, there's no gender, there's no age, there's no height, there's no nothing in that, man. Like, humans are humans. That's what we all are. And,
absolutely.
you know, I've always said the one thing that breaks my heart is 99% of people don't have anyone to talk to. And I mean really talk to. Like, you may have, like, your partner, you're this, you're that, maybe even a therapist or something, but people that you can be straight raw with. I mean, tell them your deepest, darkest secrets and know that at the end of the day, them looking back at you isn't just something that they're doing because they feel like they have to, right? It's because they want to do it, right?
And you know, that's how I raised my kids while I was in prison, because I raised them while I was in prison.
Right.
And one thing, the one principle that I always said, I was never going to lie to my kids about nothing.
Yep.
I always wanted them to be honest. I always wanted to be honest with them about everything, because I felt like I would be doing a disservice to them if I sold them a dream. I don't buy dreams and I don't sell dreams.
Absolutely.
So I was always honest with them because I wanted them to be mature. I wanted them to understand. I mean, you know, these are my sons, Victor and Emilio Nino. These are his cousins. You know, this is his cousin.
Shout out, you two fools.
I'll bust your head as soon as I see them. I'll hug you and love you all day long, boy. But you know, so I just feel like honesty has always been the key for me, because I'd rather hear the hard truth than a soft lie.
Absolutely.
You know, but the thing is, sometimes you could be too honest with people where they'll want to push you away from them. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right, yep.
And you know, so trying to get through them challenges and obstacles. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. And you know, so you know,
Because you do need people to meet you in the middle.
absolutely, compromise is part of life, 100%.
Absolutely.
Has to be a part of life. If it's not part of the life, then you're never going to get anywhere, because inevitably you're going to come up to someone else who doesn't compromise as well. And once that happens, you have an impasse. And when you have an impasse, especially where we're from, that can lead to more things than you ever want, right?
Mhm.
Because, you know, there's a great little interview from Tupac. He always said, a real recognized real. And what he means by that is that I'm not going to mess with somebody who I know is real, because it's not worth my time. Because they're doing them, I'm doing me. It's a respect factor. It's, you know, I know what I have to do. You should know what you have to do. And on that, we can either be partners in what we're doing, or we can just be individuals. But either way, we don't ever have any beef. There doesn't have to be anything like that. It's just simple as like, okay, he understands that he's doing him, I'm doing me. Cool, no problem. You know, respect you. See you on the other side.
But sometimes that's the laws of the
the
laws
jungle.
of nature, though.
I know.
Because at the end of the day, like, people grow apart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People evolve, you know?
Yep.
You could be 5-10 years with a person and all of a sudden everything's changed.
Absolutely.
You're heading one direction, they're heading another direction. Their vision has changed. The priorities have changed, the agendas have changed, the mission has changed, the heart has changed, the mind has changed. So that's why I tell people all the time, when you're in a relationship, like, love has to constantly be renewed. You don't just fall in love one time and say, okay, this is where we stay.
Oh, it's
no, daily, I have to love you, I have to kiss you, I have to hug you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, and no more so just because not only because it's healthy, but because anything can happen, bro. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And I always said that everybody I talk to, family, friends, before I hang up, when I see them, I always tell them I love them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because you know, you never know what can happen, bro. And the last thing I want to know is the last time I talked to this person, we were arguing or we were mad at each other or something like that.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, so my whole story really starts when I was probably about 17 years old. Now I had my life growing up until that point was kind of just, I feel everyone has their own story. Mine wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best. As I said, I was blessed to have two sides of the coin. I was blessed to see and live, you know, we spoke about earlier, like my cousins and all that, right? So when I think I was 16, I moved in with my mom officially. 15, right at the end of 15. And in that house, we were over there in Allen Park. We had just moved to Allen Park, and we had 14 people living in a 3-bedroom home. And you know every single one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from Minga to Antoinette to Portia to Jessica to the boys to my sister to my mom to me to Mary, everybody underneath the sun, to Gerard, everybody. I think it was 13 people at the end of the day when I counted them all up.
The whole tribe.
The whole tribe, yeah. So when you talk about stereotypical Mexicans pouring out the house, man, that was us all day. Especially you got Gerard on the porch. You know, Allen Park's a pretty quiet neighborhood too. A man's walking up and down the street with the 40. Hey, but look, then I had the other side of the family, my dad's side, which was very well put together. Everyone, again, went to school, did all this, the stereotypical, what people would determine successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you that on both sides of those coins, the interesting part is that regardless of, like you said, what success equals to some people in their mind, a lot of people think money, status.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen miserable people on both sides.
Absolutely.
With both of it, with nothing, and I've also seen the happiest people on both sides too. People who have almost nothing or are struggling, but they have the best attitude in the world, and then vice versa, people that are well off, put together, got an education, all these different things again you equate with success, and are just, you know, miserable or this or that, and don't seem to really find their way in life.
So listen, tell us this. Tell me one thing that your mother taught you that you've applied to your life, and tell me one thing that your father has taught you that you applied to your life. Just one lesson, or one quote or something that you know.
It's very simple because my dad was a big Bruce Lee fan, right?
Love
Bruce Lee. Who doesn't love Bruce Lee, right? Yeah, exactly. The best one is when he stomps on the dude's head and he's just like, it's crazy ass face.
Be like water, baby.
Yeah,
be like water.
And that's so mind over matter is always something. Meaning that if you put your mind to it, everything else will follow, right? And that has never been more true. And as I grew up and again got into meditation, I realized that is the truth of life, man. You set a goal, you go after it, you focus on nothing but that, you hit your goal. End of story, man. People wonder how it's so hard to be a doctor. It's really not. You show up at the college, you say, I want to be a doctor. They lay out a list of shit to do. You do those things on that list. Some people it's easy to do, some people it's hard. You talk about all the factors in between. No one said it's going to be easy. At the end of the day, though, you do those things, you're a doctor, man. I promise you that. That's the way it works. It's anything in life. You want to get out of the situation you're in, get a plan. Write it down. You see what I'm saying? And on my mom's side, what she had taught me was basically treat everyone the way that you want to be treated. So just be humble, man. Like, you're not better than anybody else. You know, and my dad also on the same notes used to say things along the lines of like, just like Bruce Lee. I used to ask him, so is Bruce Lee the toughest guy in the world? He'd be like, there's never the toughest. There's always someone's tougher. You're never the smartest. There's always someone smarter. You're never the fastest. There's always someone. So on that note, you gotta humble yourself, man. Like, no one's the best. If you ever walk into a room thinking you're the smartest one in there, you're the biggest fool, man. That's like the realest. That's the realest I can be about it, because, you know, again, people come from this place of like, this is who I am, right? Thinking like, you know, how many times you think someone walks in a room and says, I'm smarter than that person, I'm definitely smarter than that person, I could probably beat that person up. Like, man, get out of here with all that. You're on the wrong page. You know what I mean? If that's the page you want to be on, go ahead. Like, that's a different book for me. You know, I'm on something completely different. I look at everyone and just, you know, whatever you are, I respect. At the same time, I also just ask for respect, and from there, we can just be real with each other. And whether our missions in life align, they do. If not, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But those two things right there brought me a long way. It taught me to respect people, and I can never thank my mom more from that. And then my dad, he just taught me that as long as you have the mindset to do it, nothing's gonna stop you. You just, as they say, get knocked down, you get back up. If you can continue to do that, you never lose. Quitting's quitting, but that ain't quitting, you know.
That's dope, man. That's determination, man.
Right. And like a difference, I love this quote, man. The difference between a dream and a goal. Can you tell me what that is? Do you know?
The difference between a dream and a goal.
Yep.
Well, a dream is a vision and a goal is a mission.
Right. So
for me.
Yeah. So the way I say it is basically the same thing. So a dream, one has the future, one doesn't. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. A dream never has the future because it's a dream,
like
right?
that.
When you think of it, right? You see what I'm saying?
Man.
But
You
when you have a goal,
what?
yeah, when you have a goal, that shit's happening. End of story. Because you told yourself in your brain, there's nothing's gonna stop me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like you getting out, right? That's not going any other way. Like this is the goal. Like no matter what we got to do, this is what's happening. Period. End of story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like you know, because while I was in prison, I had time to think about every single thing in my whole life from childhood all the way on up and backwards. You know what I mean?
How's that hole? Does that hole suck, man? Is that what they talk about in the movies? I never been.
Listen, brother, let me say this, bro. The hole is a place that was made to break your spirit.
I've heard.
It's in place for discipline to break you down. But brother, let me tell you this, and let me tell everybody else. I did the most growing while I was in the hole. I became so conscious, so aware while I was in the hole. Like I had everything stripped of me. All that I had was me. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I did all my internal work. Because there's nothing to look at but walls. So I looked inside.
Yep.
I started reading books. I started putting pieces together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I started coming up with a new belief system. I had new comprehension skills. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, bro, like they said, man, you can be in a world full of darkness, bro. In a world full of darkness, just be one spot of light. You know,
I remember you told me that before, yeah.
Absolutely, bro. And I'll tell you, man, it was and then living in a hectic environment. Everything is aggressive, everything is angry, mad, miserable. So going to the hole sometimes was giving me a break from the population, having to deal with the politics, the police, administration, and all that. You know what I mean? Yep. So it benefited me. But that's because I am who I am.
Right.
Now, other people may have had experiences where it did break them mentally, it did break them emotionally, it did break them spiritually, even physically. You know, people just fall in there and don't do anything. I exercise daily. I read books. You know, I did things to be productive and still moving forward.
Yep.
You know?
And you know,
listen. Before we go ahead, though, we're gonna take a 2-minute intermission, and we're gonna come back and talk with Robert and catch up with him about what he's doing now.
Awesome.
So stay tuned. Thank you.
Right now. Hey my love, how do you do? I must say you are looking fly. Since the first time that I saw you walking by and gave a smile. These words are heard within our heart, although we are so far apart. Just take some time, my girl, to hear me out. I know we'll kick it all. Tonight, the time is right to bring our love to life. Tonight, the time is right to bring our love to life. Tonight, the time is right to bring our love to life. Tonight, the time is right to bring our love to There was a time in my life when I knew that we were in love. Walking through the park in the dark, late at night. The warm wind blowing through your hair. The moonlight moments that we share feel so right. I need you here tonight. Stay with me tonight. I want you here by me. I need you here right now. Stay with me tonight. Stay with me tonight. I want you here by me. I need you here right now. Stay with me tonight. Stay with me tonight. I want you here by me. I need you here right now. Stay with me tonight. Stay with me tonight. I want you here by me. I need you here right now. Stay with me tonight.
Rock the beat with that. Rock the beat with that. Rock the beat, beat. We gladly present to you on the wheels of steel. Rock the beat, hey, rock the beat with that. Rock the beat with that. Rock the beat, rock the beat with that.
Since you've been away, I felt all alone and lost without your love. My feelings for you will never be changed, 'cause it's you that I'm thinking of. Oh, how can I hide the pain I feel deep inside? Don't you know you're always on my mind? The way you made me feel made our love seem so real. Don't you know you were one of a kind?
When we met, it all happened so fast. You said you loved me and that it would last. But now it seems that it was all a lie. And all my love for you will soon pass you by.
Oh,
Okay, around here.
I love you will never be the same.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the El Nino Podcast. I'm Eladio Nino, and this is Real Everyday People. I appreciate everybody that's been sharing, subscribing, and tuning in. Please share with your family, your friends, your loved ones, all your Facebook friends. Help me out. Help me out. I'm on a mission, baby. Look out for me. Okay, so what I'm going to start incorporating, like I did last week, is through every intermission, which was a great idea from Carlos Valdez. Thank you for the idea, appreciate it. I think it was great, and we're going to keep moving forward with that. So I'm going to start sharing positive quotes during after our intermission. So this week, this one comes out of a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This is probably my all-time favorite book, and definitely had one of the biggest impacts in my life. So this quote says, "Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but they are unwilling to improve themselves." What do you think about that quote?
You know what's actually crazy? That ties directly into what we just talked about right before this we kicked back off. So as I was telling you, for me, a quote that I think goes great with that is, "When one cannot look within, they look without. When no one cannot look without, they look within." Right?
Yeah.
And the second one's the one you want to do. That means to me the exact same thing this is trying to say. That most people want to look outwards for the issues in their lives, and they don't want to look in the mirror and look inwards and say, hey, what did I do to not only contribute to this situation, but what can I do to fix it? Instead of sitting and say, you know, Eladio is the reason I'm in this situation. Eladio is the reason. From what he did or what they did, this is why I have to suffer this way. Understand if things go wrong here or there, but you're the one who has to turn that around. As I said before, it either makes you or breaks you. And, you know, when someone gets angry, nothing makes you angry but yourself. Now, you can get angry at something I did, but you're the one who decides to get angry. I know it sounds oversimplistic for some people, but it is just like, in my opinion, this quote is, it's perspective, man. Once you can see different perspectives on lives, things get so much easier. Because then you realize you're not right. You know, you can't always be right. And once you're not always right, things get a lot easier. Because then you can learn.
I listen, my life got so much easier when I started learning how to hold myself accountable for all of my actions. Because when I first went to prison, I was mad at the guy that snitched on everybody. I was mad at the prosecutor. I was mad at the judge. I was mad at the system. I was mad at the hood. I was mad at everything and everybody.
Yep, I agree.
But I say, you know what? When I started dissecting the situation, evaluating everything, I'm like, you know what, man? I put myself in this position. I chose to do this, be here, do that, be with this person, be with that person. So I started holding myself accountable because I realized that every time I blame somebody, I'm relinquishing power.
Yep.
You know, that means that I'm just a puppet to the world. That means everything people say or do, contributes to the choices that I make.
Absolutely.
And I say, you know what, bro, I got to take that power back. I'm gonna start holding myself accountable for all my actions, for all my decisions.
100%.
And as I started doing that, I started watching righteousness and goodness manifest in my life, and a lot of positive results. Even today, since I've been home, you know what I mean, showered with blessings, bro.
Absolutely.
You know, and I love it like that.
Yeah.
You know, but I realized even while I was in prison, I've said it so many times. I said I could wake up every day in prison and wake up as a prisoner and conduct myself as a prisoner, or I could wake up every day like a student who looks at prison like I'm in school, and then every day I wake up learning something.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that just started with me.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
making them changes and adjustments where I knew I couldn't change the environment I was in. So that
100%.
what had to change was me.
Yep. You have to control what you can control, and what you cannot put on.
Absolutely.
Again, someone doesn't work the right way you want to, but they're your partner. You know, you can't control that. You really can't. So you have to do the best you do. You don't sink down to their level. You don't say, all right, well, he's slacking off, so I'm going to slack off. What does that do for you, right? All that says, that's an excuse. Like you said, you want to give someone else that power, that's on them, right? But I'm not going to do that, just like you said. Like, I'm in control of my own life, and I know that. I know that the things I do when I leave here, that I did before here, all shape my future, period, end of story. And that's on me. That's not on anybody else. Now, there's things I can't control. When that does happen, I'll approach it as such, and I'll deal with it how I have to. But besides that, I'm gonna make sure I do my best to stay in the situations I want to stay in.
And you learn that through experience.
Absolutely,
Because,
100%.
the reason that you and I have so many good conversations is because the conversation itself is so fruitful. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? A lot of people have a lot of conversations with bullshit content. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I can't wait to hang up, or I can't wait, I got to get ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yep.
So I like to be able to have conversations that are fruitful, that are, something, breaking down some type of barrier, some type of
Absolutely.
building. That's what in the joint we used to call it building sessions. You know what I
Yep,
mean? Where we're
100%.
exchanging knowledge, we're exchanging power, we're exchanging ideas.
Yep.
Stuff like that. But while you were telling me your story, you were telling me how there was a point in your life where you started hanging around with some people with bad influence
Yeah,
and
so
stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about that.
So when I was right around 17, as I said, my mom was very blessed in what she was doing at the time, which is real estate. So I had a great opportunity to rent. It was half rent. It was a weird situation, but I got my own house when I was about 17. Thank God, my mom helped me with that. And it was paying the rent. She lived there for a little bit with my sister. They moved out, and then I took over the house completely. And that's where I stayed for quite some time. And when that happened, the thing is like, again, I love my mom to death, but there's certain things, like we all have our flaws as humans, right? And I don't put any of those on her, because just like I have my flaws, she has hers. And regardless, that woman took care of me. I got never a bad thing to say about my mother. But that being said, once I did get into my own house, I started hanging around just the wrong people. There was a few friends that, you kind of have an idea of, again, growing up on both sides of the fence, I knew what good and bad was. I had a very good perspective on, hey, this is stuff I should be doing. This is things that I knew my uncle, that we both know. I knew this. I saw the route he was going down. I saw the route he'd come from, and I saw where it got him, and it almost got him killed. And then on the other end of it, I saw the other side where it was like, okay, by keeping yourself around good company, around people who have not only just like-minded individuals, but positively like-minded individuals. You know what I mean? People that have goals and they have all these things they want to do with their lives. Like you said, building. When you give someone an idea, you're giving them part of yourself, right? Because that's my idea to you, right? I'm giving you that gift of myself and what I have to give to the world. Here's part of it, right? And I'm sharing that with you, like you're sharing yourself with me, right? And that being said, going back to what you asked, I got about 3 or 4 buddies who are just the wrong way. And next thing you know, it was going from Robert, who had messed around with maybe dealing here and there and these kind of things, to Robert, we're picking up 10 bows and we're dealing them all out in about 2 days, right? Anyone who's familiar around here, we had literally the entire Roseau city. We supplied probably the entire bit of the 24 and under. That was us. Oh, absolutely. We pick up one day, within 8 to 10 hours, it was all gone. Straight up. And it was moving heavy weight. And, you get, like we talked about, you get enthralled, man. You get like caught up in this life like this. Like, you think you're bad, right? You're not carrying around a gun half the time. I'm 17 years old carrying around a gun,
Well,
right?
you feel powerful. You got a gun. You feel like you done leveled up with this shit.
Absolutely, right? No one's saying me. I don't care how grown you are, how big you are. Like, I'm a man now, right? So that's what you start to think. And then, we got into doing things I definitely shouldn't have been. I never smoked more than weed in my life up until then. And then after that, you start doing all kinds of crazy shit that, honestly, again, to this day, I can't say I regret it, because it did make me who I am, but I'm not proud of who I am at this point, Whereas that man at that time, it was the cool thing to do, right? Oh, let's go get fucked up with the boys. Let's do this. Let's do that. And, after a few really close calls with, death, man, thank God I never got locked up for more than, any kind of time like that. But, I will tell you, I've had a gun to my head more than 4 or 5 times. I've been shot at.
For real? Shit.
Yeah.
You was going through it, boy.
Hey, well,
Damn,
look,
I never seen that in your future, bro.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And for me at that time, that was an acceptable answer. Now I'll whoop my own ass up and down the street if I could meet that man again.
Yeah.
And thank God again, I grew from that. And I didn't become deeper involved with it, But I'll tell you, there was almost a time that I took a man's life. And when that happened, that's when shit got real. Because then afterwards, the after effects that mentally that had on me was, what if, right? Like, what if I would have done it? If I would have done it, where would I be now? You know what I mean? Would I have a cell next to you possibly at the time, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
You
could
never
have
know.
been. Could have been.
Never,
Yeah,
like,
easily.
the difference in life and how the decisions we make, how they affect us so much. Again, that's why I come back to, you make those decisions. It was me who put myself in that lifestyle. I didn't have to hang around those people. You see what I'm saying? It's not like I didn't have different friends who wanted to hang out. I chose to hang around in those environments. I chose to go do those things. I chose to grab those guns. I chose to do all that stupid shit that I was doing.
Mhm.
And I was proud of it at the time, honestly, man. I can't even lie to you. You know, it's something that at the time, like with all my other friends, it was like I came from Allen Park right at that point. So I was the bad man on the block. No one fucked with me, you know. My
Yeah.
boys, they respected me. Other people knew who I was. They didn't mess with me. And it
Mhm.
was because I had this thing that I was trying to pull off, this person I was trying to be, that I was never that guy, honestly. Even to this day, I was never that guy.
Mhm.
Now, I do feel that as a man, as a human, you have to have two sides of you. You have to have a side that you have to be part monster. I believe that no matter what, no matter how docile you are, you have to be able to take it to a certain point, just to not only defend yourself, but to also there's just situations in life where you have to be a monster. I truly feel that way. Whether it be something positive, I don't ever think it's a negative thing as long as you're not enforcing it in a negative way. If you're trying to be a bad person, that's not what I mean by being a monster. I mean someone who knows that they have that capability if they need to have it, but doesn't ever use it. And that's just a practice in discipline, you know, and that also is a humbleness. Like, we both know who we are at the end of the day. We both know what we're capable of, right?
Mhm.
And you know that to this day, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't, but that's not, that is you, but it's not you, correct? You know,
It's what I'm capable of.
right.
I'm very familiar with it because that's the part of myself I used to embrace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the old story, the Native American story about the two wolves. You have a good wolf and a bad wolf, and they both exist.
Yep.
And they fight, and the
Yeah.
the grandson has the grandfather. Who wins?
Yep.
The one that you feed.
Yep.
The one that you cultivate.
Absolutely.
So we all everybody in this world has the ability to do good and to do bad. It's about what you choose. It's about what you cultivate. It's about what you're trying to accomplish. You know what I mean?
And you know what's crazy? I know I've been dropping these quotes, but like, you know me, we talked about it before. I'm very much oriented in having these philosophies to look on in life, right? And to me, when it comes to certain like analogies are huge, because when it comes to communication, being able to bridge the gap of familiarity with where you came from and where I came from, if we're from two different worlds, that's huge. So when you find something we can relate to and you can put across a perspective very clearly in a way someone else can go, oh, I didn't look at it that way, but now that you said it in this way, you know, I think I already told you when we were at the gym, you know, I have a quote, it's a poem that really, I told you, it's my demons do not chase me, they are with me, because I am them and they are me. Which means that no matter what, they're inside me, man. I already know that. I also just, as you said, it's what you feed, though. That is as true as it gets.
And it's how you apply, you know, and how you apply them. You know, it's important as men to be men of heart, to be men of courage. You know
Absolutely,
what I'm saying?
Integrity.
You know, there's a time where you got to be aggressive. There's a time where you have to be assertive.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
So you have to be able to be all of these things.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know.
And you know, I will tell you, man. This is a story that, you know, I'm telling you because we talked about it, and it's a story that I'm gonna tell you that anyone who watches this would never knew, except for the one man who was there at that time. You know, in my lifetime, I'm ashamed to say, but you know, it taught me who I am. I've robbed a few places. I've done some things. I've held some people at gunpoint myself, and you know, just being honest with you, again, I'll never forget. We pulled up in front of this place where we had already planned. We were gonna go. We were gonna rob it. We already had everything, and I'll never forget when my boy handed me an AK, and I just sat there with this thing in my hand, looking at it, getting ready to walk into this building, and I'm just like, the fuck am I doing, man? I thought of all the things, and you know what's fucked up? I thought of you too, which is crazy, because you were part of my life. You were part of my life for a while, right? So, you know, our relationship goes way back, and you know, don't think I didn't see you. My cousin Jessica used to come home throwing up all the crazy stuff, and as a kid, I thought that was cool. I'm like, this is the life. This is the life we live, right? I'm down for that. Like, one day I'm gonna be that way. And all these moments came up, and then I knew you had been locked up for a minute at this point. And all I thought was, I knew the path you were on, which wasn't that kind of path until something happened in your life, which made you change a direct turn, right?
Yeah.
And when that happened, I said, I'm going to be in the same position. And I'm putting myself in this position. And that was when I got terrified of what I was doing, of who I was, of what I had become. And most of all, I got scared I wasn't going to be able to get back to who I used to be, or find my way back to where I need to be. You know?
And
It wasn't too long after that, man, that I cut ties with those guys. One of my boys ended up going to prison right after that, actually. He served like 7 years for, it was actually, he was part of this giant thing where they were stealing credit cards and they'd ship them off, and blah. It was a big old ring he was part of. But it was like 24 people got arrested for it. He was one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and that brought a lot of the party to an end too, you know. And I just
absolutely.
told myself, look, I kicked the other roommate we had out. We started going. I started hanging out with my other friends who had more of a positive impact on me. I got a really good job at the time. At the time, I was going to school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I started going to school for graphic design, actually.
Okay.
Baker College. Yup.
Damn, that's sweet.
Yup. And then I got a job at Chrysler thanks to my uncle and my dad. Connections, life is about connections, but that also comes back to what we talk about all the time. Being a good person, networking, you only get those connections by being who you are genuinely.
Absolutely.
And then
Because somebody got to put their name on you.
And then when
they got to put their word on you.
Exactly, right? And once they can do that, and then to say, this guy's real, I don't have to worry about anything. I can fully give my endorsement on him because, hey, look, I know who he is, right? And that comes from just being a genuine person. But once those things started going, I got a good job. I got told, hey, my boss, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an engineer at the time. And I was told, look, you need to take a certain amount of class. You need to do this, this, and that. And we're going to have you start working in this field. We're going to get you going. And by the graces of God, I was able to do what I had to do, take my classes. And within maybe a year or two, I was working in the tool room. I was doing tooling engineering with all the guys. I was reading blueprints, you name it. I was doing it, man.
At Chrysler?
Yeah, I did that for
Damn, that's
quite
sweet.
a few years. Yep, I moved around a few plants. Shout out to the 8 and Mound truck. Anyone who's around here, there, I know that place is a hellhole sometimes, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? We again doing that. Kind of brings me into the next part is where it's like I started to evolve, right? And the evolution came from getting that better job because. My grandfather used to say he was a Detroit police officer for 36 years. So he's seen it all, right? And he's ran the gang squad, he was on the Norco squad, all that. He ran it all, right?
Yes, I remember. He's in Ayala, right?
Yeah, oh yes, sir.
I know the name.
Bob Ayala, yeah,
Trust
man.
me, the
Help-
gang squad with back in the days, with Phil Pop before he got killed, with Packer, with Hughes, with Ayala was a household name for gang squad. We used to
Yup.
call them cranberries, gold letters. We used to be,
Yep, you knew what they were. Yeah, everybody knew. Everybody knew Bob
They had the
Ayala.
jump out boys. The boys come out, jump out the back and chase you while we spray paint or do whatever the hell we
Getting
do.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
man.
absolutely.
Damn.
And so like I said, from there, man, I got a good job. I started hanging around with positive people, honestly. People that were just not in that lifestyle. And that's what I was telling you. I remember a kid, man, I'm gonna know my kids' friends. You know what I mean? Because growing up, my mom worked a lot, my dad worked a lot. Not to throw shade on them because they're both great people. I have my issues with my father, yes, but like at the same time, they worked hard. They gave me my sister as much as they could, right? And I respect them for that.
You know what's crazy about, that I remember about your parents is they were together, but they lived separately. And
For
I was like, wow.
19 years they were together.
Like, how the hell are y'all together, but you don't live together? You
Yep.
know what I mean? And I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. Going back and forth is never something you want to be a part of.
And
too
then
much.
I want to know how it impacted you as you grew up and in a relationship. Like,
Yeah. Well, so as far as like that growing up, it was definitely something that was interesting. As I said, you gotta imagine going to your pops' house or your pops' family's house, big nice house, nice things, right? My grandmother's making me whatever you want, this and that. To go into my grandmother's house on the other side, which my grandmother on my mom's side, again, when I met her, she had been through a lot and she had found her way at that point. So I have nothing bad to say about her. But when it comes to other parts of my family, it was just a night and day difference. It was like going from, again, nice set up house, all this, to like, hey, we're just gonna go hang out, and like you were sat in front of a TV and just left there, because that was the babysitting back then, and you were somewhere in the hood, and it was like, hey, people are smoking weed right next to you, and you're just a little kid, like, they used to call them Camel cigarettes. I remember that's how I used to get my dad in trouble because I used to go around my grandma and be like, Dad smells like Camel cigarettes, because that's what he would tell me they were. They're Camel cigarettes. It was crazy, and but going back and forth, it had more of a toll as far as seeing both sides of it, which again I'm still grateful for, honestly. As far as all the other stuff, I'll be real. Like my mom's side, my dad's side always had some kind of beef. I don't know why. That's old blood beef that I don't even know about. I don't even ask them really because like
you don't want to get caught up.
I don't get caught up in none of that stuff, man. But it's there, so there was also that. Like I remember like again, some people on my dad's side hated some people on my mom's side, and that was like that is the part that I didn't like growing up because that was very apparent.
Yeah.
There were certain things. Like, so for instance, I have a sister, right? Now, my sister, her name's Whitney. Technically my half-sister. We have different dads, but I will tell you what, I'd never even dare call her that. She's my sister through and through, blood in, blood out.
doubt.
Don't matter, right? And there'd be certain people that would always remind me, no, she's not your sister, she's your half-sister. So that's the one thing that really I took away from little things like that.
Yeah, no
that,
doubt. Yeah.
You know, as an adult.
I never believed in that either.
No,
I call my brothers
Family's
my
family,
brothers.
man. Family's
Flat
family,
out.
man.
There
You
ain't
probably
no
got,
half
got
nothing.
family from the
We ain't
from the
doing no
joint.
half stepping.
Yep, exactly. Absolutely, man. And that's where, again, like, blood's blood, and, you know, growing up with these preconceived notions of you have to have, like, family's only family because it's only blood. That's a mistake. You know, like I said, not many people have someone to talk to. So when you find true family out there, people that ride or die, like there's ride or die anywhere. You know what I mean? I'm thankful right now to have a partner in my life that she's my ride or die. That's it. Like, we do everything together. Like, that we try to be on the same page. Sometimes we're not. Like, be real. You know what I mean? That's a relationship. But at the same time, seeing my parents go through so much, I knew what I wanted out of a relationship and what I didn't want out of a relationship. Like you said, those 19 years of them being together was very impactful when you want from taking like a just straight standing back look at it.
Did you ever try to play both sides, like get no from dad but get yeah from mom, or vice versa? You know?
I don't know. They both fucked me up pretty bad if I did. So,
Yeah.
so and it wasn't even like that.
Your mom Molly whopped the shit out you.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, you called the chunkle across the back of the head. You're not looking, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they went.
So, go ahead.
No. It wasn't. It was some of that, man. You know, you gotta try to get away with the shit when you
Yeah.
can. That's about it.
But so you and I, we ran into each other at LA Fitness.
That's right.
You know,
hold it
I've
down.
been for 90 days already. I've been at LA Fitness. I love it. Feels good.
My man's hitting the gym every
I
day.
start my day out, you know what I'm saying, getting it in, and I'll be ready for the world, you know.
Absolutely.
But it was cool because you and I ran into each other. Since then, we've reconnected. We've had, you know, plenty of conversations to the point where you're here now, you know what I mean?
And what's crazy is, remember, I said you're the second Eladio I've ever met in my life, and then I just described who, like, somehow I knew this and that, and you're like, it's your cousin Jessica, and I was like, damn right, and next thing you know, pulled down the face mask, oh, that's Eladio Nino, man.
Yeah.
Man.
He's like, I know a guy named Eladio. I say, you do?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
You do?
Yeah, it's small world. I know who you're the
Well, let me tell you something.
I am that Eladio. Shit blew my mind, man. That's crazy.
But I think it's great, though, to have a job, you know, working at LA Fitness. Like, what got you into that? You told me you do kickboxing and all. Like, that's pretty inspiring, you know, and then you're a personal trainer.
Absolutely,
So, you know, what got you into that? How did you get to that place?
So, okay, this gets back to it, man. I was working for Chrysler for quite a few years. When I was about 26, I was about 215 pounds, man, and I was not looking good. You know, a few events in my life really kicked me in the jaw with that one. But what had happened was, as I kept going and as I kept working with Chrysler, my jobs ended up changing. And as they started to change, it went from being someone who was like working with your hands all day, working with people, talking all the time, figuring out issues that were right in front of you that were technical, that, you know, really required some kind of like thought, into sitting you down with the giant blueprint and numbers and saying, we need you to match this number and that number together. If they're different, change it. And then, oh, by the way, there's literally probably 200,000 numbers in front of you right now.
Damn.
Have at it, right? So 8 to 10 hours of that every single day, looking at a screen back to a blueprint, little changes, and honestly, the red tape of it all, of going like, well, I can't do this without talking to this guy and that. It just dragged me down, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled at my job.
Lost your
anymore.
interest,
Lost
your
my interest.
passion. All
Yep, I was overweight. I was miserable. You know, at the time, I was just in a really dark place with myself. I couldn't. You know, there'd be days I didn't want to see tomorrow. Honestly, you know, and people would never believe that I had a great job. I used to have a challenge. I mean, I had it all, right? I bought my house when I was 23, so I'm very blessed in that manner. I'm 30 now.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's cool.
we're rolling good on it. You know, ain't trying to pay that boy off coming up. You know, that's the dream, right? But that's the goal. There are no dreams.
Yeah.
But my point is with all that is, honestly, man, my cousin got into personal training, got with this girl who got him into personal training. He said, why don't you come to the gym with me, man? I started off doing jujitsu, actually. So I started doing jujitsu, and my fat ass was the guy who was like, oh, I'm going to throw my 215 pounds on you and try to smother you out.
Yeah.
And then that worked for a little bit, and then I started getting rolled over and choked out, and eventually you're like, all right, I have to step it up a notch. So to step it up a notch, I realized, you know, I was an athlete in high school. I went to states for tennis and that. I played high-level hockey, so I just knew I had to step my physical game
I
up.
never knew anybody that played tennis. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then that's cool.
26 in the state, right here.
Okay,
There you go.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Good for
2008. 2008, yeah. But anyways, So from there, I started doing jujitsu, started losing a few pounds. Then I was like, let me go to the gym because I was doing jujitsu 5 days a week. Let me go to the gym 2 days a week. Let me split it up. From that point on, I decided that just at like a month in, I'm just gonna go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm gonna stop the jujitsu. I'll go back to it when I get some weight, when I get my stamina up, all those good things. And then from there, man, it became. I started to realize. I started doing research in nutrition. Right, I was a fat boy, so I'm like, all right, how do I continue to be a fat boy but not have to actually be fat? Right. So little knowledge bomb real quick to everybody listening. The more muscle you have on you, the more you can eat. Look it up.
I got a lot of muscles.
Right.
I can eat a lot more.
So you work out 6 days a week and you're lifting, you can possibly eat 3,000-4,000 calories, man. That's a lot. That is a whole bunch.
You hear that?
Yeah, that's like 3 pounds of chicken, bro, with some veggies on the side. I know it sounds some people aren't about all
Go to
that.
Burger King when I leave here.
You
No,
know,
bullshit.
you go like a Whopper or 2 Whoppers or something, I guess. You want to go
Tell me that now.
But so the fat boy in me came out. Then also the part of me who just wanted to improve. I wasn't happy. And then my mental state started to improve through the exercise because my self-image started to improve. So now I started to get more confidence. I started to be able to talk to my friends better. Started to talk to just anybody. You know,
Yeah.
I started to come out of my shell a lot more. I was always the guy at any job. Anybody who knows me, I was the guy who at work would just not say a word. I walked by, I was very quiet. I might head nod you real quick. Other than that, I was very docile, shy. I'd walk, get my job done, come home. The man that people know today, they know me as that I'm wild, man. I'm crazy. You hear me? I yell at the
Party
kid.
animal.
I get not even party. Just
Yeah.
I'm out there, right? And I guess that must have always been me inside, but I had to find myself.
Even when
And so-
I see you in the gym, you're socializing. Hey, what's up? How
Yeah,
you
yeah, I'm doing the
do that.
thing.
Oh, yeah, good job and all
Right,
that.
right.
I'm like, okay, then.
And so from there, I started to grow as a person because, again, I got my mind right. And because I had done meditation back when I was younger, and that helped me out. Because there's been a few times, I'd say, I've been to rock bottom 3 times in my life where, again, didn't even, you're just like, if it ended here, fucking let's do it. You know what I mean? And that really started to get me out of that mindset. And it really got me into the whole, like we talked about, I can control this thing. So that means I'm in charge. And when you feel your entire life like you're on a roller coaster ride and you don't know what the next turn is, you're going upside down, to all of a sudden someone say, hold up. No, man, you've been in a car. You just don't know your ass is driving. That's why you're all this way and that way because you think you're looking. But all of a sudden your wheels turn left. And you're like, oh, why is this going that way? Because you're in control, fool. And you're the one who's not understanding that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So find that out. Take control, put yourself where you want to be, get in your own lane, and honestly stay in your lane. People, like we talked about, are faking. You're not the best. We're not the smartest. We are good at what we do. And improve on your skill. Spread that skill. You know, spread what you can on that. And that's what personal training got me. So all these things, I realized, man, I got down to like 180, and I was looking
that's
solid.
good.
I'm 170 right now, but I was 180. I was looking solid, man. And all my friends and people would be like, how do you do it? What are you doing? So I started slowly helping people here, showing people this, found a real passion for it, especially because the mental aspect of it was I took myself from a place I never thought I could get out of to a place where I never thought I could go. And in doing so, I was able to make the realization that, again, anything you want, you can have. Just straight, you got to start. Like this whole thing here. How'd this start, man? What really got you to like,
a
I'm gonna do this?
conversation.
Right. And now look at you now.
I got a phone call from Jose. He had an idea, and I had an idea, and we've been rolling out since, bro.
Absolutely, right.
And we've been just growing, networking, progressing. We got people reaching out to us from different places. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's getting down because they see it's real, man, and it's solid. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. But listen, so you brought an item. I always ask my guests to bring an item for show and tell.
Yep.
And so I want you to share a little bit about the story with the item that you brought.
Yep. So again, you know, my mom's very near and dear to me. And the thing about my mom is she never knew her dad, and my sister knew her dad. He wasn't really in her life. You know, the unfortunate theme in my life is a lot of the females in my life just don't really have the best relationship, if any relationship, with their father. My cousins, just, you know, my sister, my mom, a lot of these people. So when I look at this birth certificate, this is what I brought. I bought a birth certificate. You know, the thing that just stands out to me every single time is when it says father of the child, just straight not stated. And to me, when everything you are, like, you're created from 2 people, right? Like, one, there's just 2 people. There's never be 3 people. There's 2 people that create you. To not know half of where you come from, that hits me home. You know what I mean? So when I look at this, it tells me two things. It tells me I respect my mother. I respect her, and I respect my grandmother, right? For being able to do the best she could for my mother and my aunt and then my uncle. And although I know things made it the way they were, where my mom did grow up in the system for a lot of her life, either way, regardless, my grandmother, she still helped my mom through as much as she could, right? And that's all anyone can ask, right? So when I look at this, it just reminds me who I want to be and who I don't want to be, you know. And then it also brings me a little closer with my mom because, you know, my mom will tell you if she was here, she's lived in like 15 different states. She's been to probably 20 different schools, kicked out of half of them.
Wow, damn! I
yeah,
didn't know you were
yeah,
wild like that.
Yeah,
Damn,
absolutely.
Teresa.
Oh, I'll show you some pictures of her and my aunt just with like knuckle gloves on like this. It's straight hilarious, man.
You know, I seen your mother. Me and my lady, we were at Heritage Park in Taylor.
She's in there.
And
That's
we
her.
were just taking a walk, and I seen her, and she seen me, and you know, it was good to see her, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep, and you know, she seems to be doing well for herself.
Yep, she's living with my sister right now, helping raise my niece, so that's good.
Okay.
So yeah, having a little family home there. So my niece is always seeing her grandma, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good, man. Keeps everything tight knit.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's what this is, man. Like I said, this means a lot to me. I've had it. This is the original too, so this is the one. As you can, it's all tattered
You
and
can
stuff.
tell that boy,
Yeah,
like, he's
it's-
gonna fall
Hey,
apart.
feel
with
that
it.
boy. It's
Yeah,
tissue
I
paper
see.
now, man. Straight
Yeah.
tissue paper. So the
Yeah.
goal would be to one day get this
Put
frame
that in
for
a
her.
frame or
Absolutely, man. Yep, absolutely. And I just got to get my grandmother's now because that's another one who, you know, the thing that gets me, and again, this always reminds me that we grew up our whole lives without knowing who the other, like the partner I'm with now, my girlfriend, her name's Sarah. Love you, babe.
something. What's up, Sarah?
She's over there. She can't see her. She's over there. She's embarrassed. No, but the thing is that like I tell her all the time, she didn't know half the stuff about me. She knew some of it because I had told her, but a lot of stuff she didn't. So
how does that feel? She's over there like, oh Lord, I don't
well,
know about that nigga now.
I was hoping I get a pass on today.
She
but-
like, you did.
That being said, though, it's like I just feel like, you know, you look at your family and stuff, and you got to ask who they were before you knew them. Because like I'm 30 years old, but my dad's 54. I didn't know 24 years of this man's life. You see what I'm saying? I have no clue what's going on there. I don't know did he get in many fights in school? All these things, right?
Yeah.
So you have these questions you ask, and that is the one thing where I just, you know, if I could tell anything to anybody, like I said, find out someone else's story. If you hear this and you're doing something right now, like, and you had those questions, ask them. They're more than willing to share, you know, and through that you get a deeper bond with them. And then when you can take that outside of just family, that's how you start to connect with people, right? Because you start to ask them, who are they before the minute I met you, right? Before this one moment right now in time where we cross paths, tell me about yourself, right? And from there, you know, you meet the best people that way. You know, you're gonna find people you don't like to meet for sure that you hate. But I mean,
but even then, you learn something from even people who you don't get along with or don't agree with, or just black and white type of, you know, mentality, but you still learn something from them.
100%.
Like we had officers that were absolute sticklers,
Yeah.
you know, and they loved sending guys to the hole. They loved getting guys to cuss them out and threaten them and all that good stuff.
Right to the hole.
But it was all about mind control, bro. It didn't
Absolutely.
matter about how many laps you can run, how many push-ups you could do, how much weight you could push. Mind is the master, bro. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm
Yep.
saying? You can move
100%.
mountains with your mind.
100%.
You know?
Yep.
So tell us, what does the future for Robert Ayala look like, man?
So, you know, one thing that with the personal training, I got into personal training, you know, with the personal training came one big thing, and this is where my future I hope goes. So I realized that it's all a mental game. What I would love for my future to entail, what I'm really working toward, what the goal is to start something kind of like what you got going here, to inspire people. Honestly, man. Now I also understand, like I said, I know my lane, and what my lane is I know about the body, I know about nutrition, I know how I can change your life, not only physically, because, and I say that because I know that once I start to get you changed physically, it's going to change your mental aspect, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And through this whole journey, I think we talked about it, I'm actually sponsored by can I do a quick shout out real quick?
Absolutely.
I'm sponsored by a company called Buddy Lee Jump Ropes. Thank you, Buddy Lee, for having me on your team. And I'm a sponsored jump rope athlete. So what I do,
For real?
yeah.
That's
So
sweet.
if you ever look at my Instagram, you'll see I post videos of there all the time. Me and my girl were traveling a lot last summer for her work. And I was able to hit these different parks, get a few.
Where would
videos
they
there.
be able to find them? Where could they
So
find them?
Instagram mainly, the handle is Roboito, RUHBOITO. It's me with some stupid face on. You can't-
Roboito.
Yeah. Oh, it's from The Water Boy. When
Yeah,
he
the
goes-
water
he goes,
boy. Roboito,
yeah,
what's
he
your
say?
dad?
He changed
You
his name
is.
to Roboito. He thought it was
Yeah.
Tomboy Exotic. Yeah. So that's
He
where you can
tackled
find
his
it.
ass at the end.
Yeah, tore his ass up. But that's what the future holds, man. I really want it through the power of movement. It sounds so crazy, but just moving your body, man. You realize that's where the self-control starts, right? Standing up, doing something when your alarm clock rings and you get up on the first time, not snooze number 3. That's you, and that's how you build habits, right? And building those habits builds a better you, builds a better mindset.
Absolutely,
You set
bro.
yourself up for
I
success.
love being in motion, bro.
Absolutely.
You know, I had outgrown prison, bro.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I had
right.
outgrown that place.
Right.
Like that's one thing about me is I'm always outgrowing my environment, bro.
And you should be.
You know what I mean? And that's how I know that I'm just always evolving,
Yep.
bro.
Absolutely.
I'm always learning, you know, I'm always doing, you know, you got to be in motion, bro.
Yep.
That's the name of the game, you know, live
Yes,
and
sir.
let live, baby. Let's move forward. So, thank you, brother. It's been a pleasure having
Always.
you here.
Thanks for having me. I really
but
appreciate it.
before I let you go, I'm definitely going to let you put your name on the wall of fame, man.
Okay, hell yeah.
You
Where we
know?
at? What are we doing?
So, we're going to get you a marker.
Okay.
You know, come over here. We're going to transition over here. Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for sharing, subscribing, for tuning in to the El Nino podcast. Pick a place, bro. It's all on you. Yeah, it's gonna be there. It's gonna stay there, boy. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for sharing, for subscribing. I appreciate all the support. You guys definitely tune in next Monday. We're gonna have another excellent guest with a great story to tell. Shout out to my dog over here on Beard and Burger at the Pop Shop. What's up, Blaze? What's up, Blue? And I want to send a shout out, man, to everybody that's doing their thing. Legendary, Lit Music Entertainment. Everybody that's moving forward. I support you, support me. Let's get there together. We got a cypher coming up, so definitely be prepared for that. We got a lot of talent out of Southwest Detroit, and we're doing what we do. So everybody stay tuned. Thank you for watching the story, listening to it, and hopefully somebody was inspired and motivated. So stay tuned.